All right, so I got cut off because I didn't have enough space, but I wanted to finish because this is one of those things that's very difficult to talk about again because it's very real, and it's one of those things that you don't generally advertise to the public because people have a certain opinion. Do I have something in my nose? People have a certain opinion about these types of things, and when you tell these stories, even though you feel that you've been faulted, people are going to have opinions, and those opinions are not going to be in your favor. But I'm going to share this story anyway because it's important to me, and I think it needs to be shared. I mean, I know I'm not the only person that has experienced this or felt this or anything. So this is part two because I was out of space, so it got cut off. But so like I said, the thing about people needing people and how I never really needed anyone until like probably the past month. And I didn't even really truly realize that until today, something else happened. Now, as you know, the last situation that I had, and it's so funny because, I want to blame the ex roommate or whatever, but the owner is just as much to blame as the ex roommate. He saw and heard malicious threats being made and said, "Oh, I didn't hear anything." And he said it right in front of my face, like letting me know and letting that person know that it was okay. The person was just really nasty, had like cat poop in the bathroom, like on the floor, and towels that sat there for like days on end. And when I texted the landlord to let him know about it, he was like, "Well, that's not my towel. That belongs to them. I don't have nothing to say about that." And I'm like, "But did you realize there's poop?" And at first I thought it was funny. I thought it was not funny, but I thought it was, his response was funny. I was making light of it, but it wasn't funny because what it showed is that he totally disrespected and disregarded me. That my opinions and my thoughts, my feelings and my experience didn't matter. I mean, the whole place was completely filthy. Absolutely filthy. I mean, like roaches in the refrigerator, just filthy. And I got to the point where I didn't use the refrigerator I didn't use the refrigerator or the kitchen for that matter. There was no central heat, no central air, and it was hot. And no respect for my privacy. And so at first, and I think it's because of the fact that the owner is Asian, and of course I'm gonna tell y'all the whole process behind my thinking about everything was that my mom is Asian, and I recently got disowned like maybe a year or two ago, and I went home, and you know and it took a lot. I had anticipated going home for so long, and I just had to wait for the right time. I didn't want to go in the winter because I hated cold, so I went in like March, I believe the year before last. So it had to be like March 2013. So completely disowned. And prior to that, like in 2009, no, maybe it was 2014 that I went last year. But in 2009, maybe it was 2000. It was last year that I went. But in 2009, prior to that, um, I had a situation where, I had gotten happy because I was like, well, get on Facebook so I can talk to my family. I haven't seen them in forever, and, all the new additions and things like that. And, I get to be, part of my family's life again. And I saw a statement that was made by the female that my brother was dating. And she had a child before they had their children together. They have a total of five now. And it broke my heart because it was something to the fact that he had bought her a car. And she didn't even say thank you. As a matter of fact, she didn't even want to go out with him that night. She went somewhere else, and she doesn't work, and she goes to school. He keeps all the kids, and and he works full time. And I was like, in my heart and my mind, that's my baby brother. And I'm just like, wow. And my mom was complaining that he took on this girl that had a child that was disabled, and all this. So I was just like, she could at least have said thank you, because I'm thinking about all the years that me, falsely accused and convicted, went through the system, and I never had any help, not even from the things and places that were supposed to be in effect to help you. And I was like, this person is not even thankful. What ended up happening was that I got jumped on. People I didn't know. Somebody said they were a lawyer and they were going to knock my teeth out. And all this on Facebook. And brother jumped in and called me crazy and, must be crazy and a hoe and this, that, and the other. And I'm like, wow. And it hurt because here I am being a big sister defending my brother. Nobody had anything to say, and it hurt tremendously. And it was at a time in my life, you know, and whenever you're in a legal situation, all the times in your life, you're really in need. And I remember watching a YouTube video a while back about a woman that, and I remember it sounded crazy when I heard her saying this, but she was like, they turn your family, they have people that go and they say things and they'll turn your family and your friends and whatever against you. I'm like, well, I don't really have any friends. All I have is my family, and we're pretty close knit because all we have is each other. And I was just like, that couldn't happen. Then I thought about how, when I was in school, somebody told my mom that I was using drugs or something. I don't know where that rumor came from, but that's what they told her. And she believed it. I never used drugs in my life. To this day, never. Never, ever. And, so just to be honest, the thought process when I came here, at first I didn't want to come because I felt it was out of the way. But then, I really had no choice but to come. So I was like, well, you always try to find the reason and the good and everything. So I was like, well, I just lost my mom. Not physically, but that's like the worst pain, to lose somebody and they're still living, So I said, well, maybe this was God's way of, trying to reinstall family because I didn't have any, And at the very least, decency. Didn't get it. The exact opposite. And I think what happens is like, when they know it's a similarity, just like a lot of people say, the black people and the prejudiced Hispanic people, they distance themselves as far as possible. And that's kind of, I guess, what it was in this situation. When I first came, I knew, like I said, I wasn't really interested in the place. But, I mean, looking at the other options, it seemed like the best option. I had another option that was pretty good too, that was equivalent. But he came and brought my stuff, offered to bring my stuff. And I was like, wow, that was very nice. And the other person did too, but this place was a little bit cheaper. So I said, okay. But I knew because, like I said, at first, when I called about it, I had asked, was it still available? And he thought I was somebody else and he got excited, but I wasn't whoever he thought it was. And you could hear the change in his voice. But it's just so weird to me. And I remember my dad saying this too, like, the people that need things the most, they get it the least. And like I said, the reason it affected me kind of so deeply was because, I tried to reason it out that, like I said, I just lost my mom. I knew, and I lost my mom, so it's kind of what I thought, it'd be like, even if it wasn't really a replacement, at least decency. But this man actually listened to somebody say they were going to do physical harm to me and my property. It was like I didn't hear anything. And then told me on more than one occasion that he didn't take me seriously, And so that was painful to me. But it's like, it's traumatic. Like, when you're, it's equivalent to, like, when you're going through the system and something bad happens, you really, it's like you can't just fall apart at that moment because you got to stay together. Because if I fell apart, these people were already attacking me and they're going to attack even more. And I didn't have any back. And I mean, everything from, you know, the boy didn't live here, but he was, took my food, and oh, he just blew it off as oh, the landlord blew it off as oh, it was a simple mistake. But yeah, can you talk to them about it? Because they've already mentioned, they were going to do harm and this type of thing and other. I don't want my belongings to be tampered with. Oh, I don't take it seriously. And I was like, well, I'm just requesting. It's okay that you don't take it seriously, but I'm requesting, you know. And I said, is that a reasonable request? He didn't even want to say that. And I was like, if he could have said it was unreasonable, he would have. And I was like, well, anybody, with sense would say it, that know the situation would say, yeah, that's reasonable, whether there's something going on or not. And so those were the first things. And the house was completely nasty. And when I first came, he didn't bring me to the house. He took me, and at the time I was working two jobs, took me way out to Walmart. So I'm like, So I'm thinking maybe he thinks I'm nuts or something. He's trying to fill me out. And he said, this is not the one by my house. And I'm like, well, why wouldn't he take me to the one by the house? I just learned a couple days ago when the other girl came where the Walmart by the house was. There's nothing there, so I wasn't missing anything. But still. And then the impression is, because, like I said, what happened with the other girl that was here, and all the threats and stuff that was made, I never came out of my room. And because the way that he lied, the landlord lied and was like, he didn't say anything, I was like, I knew completely that I was on my own if anything happened. And so I stopped, speaking to him cordially. I would say hello respectfully, and that was it. Because, I mean, this person had somebody threaten physical harm to me and didn't have anything to say. Not only did they not have anything to say, they said they didn't hear it, and they were right there. And they was like, "Oh, I heard that. Oh, I didn't hear anything." They said it facetiously. Scary. Then when I complained about, the tub being stopped up and this, that, and the other, nothing. He did nothing. And my thought is that, and then eventually he did something, but I think it's because the other girl said something. But if I complain, nothing happened. True story. And it's scary to me. And I explained to him the reason I thought that was scary to me is because he's a landlord, he's of Asian descent. I'm Afro American, and then there's two of them, her and her boyfriend, and him. So if you say that, if you deny that anything happened, then that's gonna make me look bad. So I couldn't even report it. Um, and so then when the new girl came, like I said, the lady, I mean, he was just giving out my information. I'm like, I don't even know this woman. But luckily, that was the person that came. You know, she was all in my room, and I thought it was just disrespectful. I made it clear that I'm a private person, and she still came. But anyhow, I'm running out of time, so I'm gonna do the other part. And actually, I shouldn't be doing this, but I mean, I have to. I mean, I have to cleanse and I have to get it out. So that's what I'm doing.